What's up guys, it's Drake and welcome back to my channel. Now you probably clicked on this video because you either heard about Hurricane Michael or you actually went through Hurricane Michael. And for me, I actually went through Hurricane Michael. Now, when I say through Hurricane Michael, that means at one point I was literally sitting in the eye of the storm and it was kind of crazy. For those of you that had not heard of Hurricane Michael, it was this really big hurricane that hit October the 10th of this year, and for me it was the 10th, but there were other countries and stuff that were affected by this hurricane, but for me specifically it was just the 10th. And I believe when it got to the county that I'm living in right now, I believe it was like a category 2 or 3 or something like that. I could be wrong, or maybe it was a category 1, but I do know that when it got to us, it was pretty bad. But before I actually get into the video more, I do want to explain that I am bringing this video up basically because of all the fires and everything that's going on in California, and it's just like, it's crazy, it's ridiculous. It's like, first there's a huge hurricane, and then there's all these fires that happened in California, and then like, was it last year, there was another hurricane that hit North Carolina really hard. And it's crazy that like there's so much going on so soon. I almost feel like, you know, the earth is trying to tell us something, or I don't know, it's crazy. So for me, I found out that we were going to be majorly hit by a hurricane the day before we got hit by the hurricane. Because I live on a college campus, I don't usually use the cable to watch the news, so the only thing I knew that we were having was like a lot of rain and the weather was changing a little bit, but not that we were going to go through like a major hurricane. I actually hadn't really even heard anything about Hurricane Michael, not really, even though I'm sure it's probably all over the internet for some people. For me, like on my social media feeds and stuff, it wasn't showing up for me. That wasn't even a thing. So the day before the hurricane hit, I was working, and I got an email saying that classes were going to be canceled for about 2 days, and that all classes were canceled after 12 that day. And I was like, okay, cool, you know, we don't have class for the next 2 days. I'm not going to really do anything. I'm just going to hang out in my room and just, you know, go through all the rain and the storm that's going to be surrounding us. And I was fine with that, and I wasn't like really like worried about it or anything like that because I have family that lives 45 minutes away from me, so it was either stay here or go to them, and they are literally right, like they're really close. So if we were going to be affected, they were going to be affected, so there was really no point in like, you know, leaving. And I didn't think it was going to be that bad, to be honest, but it actually was worse when I saw the aftermath. Of course hurricanes are bad, I just didn't think it was going to be so much damage as there was. So on the day of the actual hurricane, it was a regular day for about all of it pretty much. I'd say around, like, it was raining a lot, but like for me, the rain and thunder and lightning, all of that stuff is very calming and it's peaceful for me, so I wasn't really worried about any of that stuff. Around like 6-ish, I think like maybe my lights flickered a few times, but it wasn't enough for anything to turn off in here. And then at about 7:30, maybe almost 7:30, my lights flickered, and they flickered and then they flicked off. They never came back on, and I was like, well, you know, well that sucks. So I won't have lights for I'm thinking I'm not gonna have lights for at least like the rest of the night and some of the next day. And so after that, I didn't have any power, so I basically just like sat in my room for about 20 minutes and I called my sister. For those of you that are new to my channel, my sister, she lives on the other campuses that we have, and so, you know, she was going through the same things with us. I believe her power had already been out at that time, but mine had just went off. So I was just talking to her for like maybe 20 minutes, and then they let off a siren to tell everyone to come downstairs because of like me being on the second floor. They told everyone to just, you know, come downstairs to the first floor. We're all gonna stand down there, and they did like a roll call and everything just to make sure that everyone was accounted for. So after we were down there for about after they went through roll call, I think it maybe took like maybe 20 25 minutes because they had to actually go to some people's rooms and open them because everyone wasn't coming out of the room. So some people were just like gonna hang out in the room until it was pretty much over. And even then, later on, some people still never came out of their rooms. So there was that. But after they did roll call, there are like two sides of our building. So there's a left side and the right side, and they split us up. So some people went to the right and some went to the left, and we sat in that hallway, like on these floors, for about 3 hours. We were down there for about 3 hours through the hurricane. It was dark. The only light was the emergency lights because we didn't have any power. And we were all just sitting in there, like people were talking, people were playing cards, people were like scrolling on their phones. And it was just like, it was like a time to really like come together as a community, but at the same time it was just like, we're thinking it's not gonna be bad, so we're basically just like, how much longer until we can go back to our rooms? After like, I think it was like 10:35, 10:40, they were like, okay, you guys can go up, you can go back to your rooms. So everyone went back to the rooms. The hallways getting to your room are like pitch black. There's like one emergency light at the very end of the hallway where you like even come into the hallway. So it, like everywhere else after that, it's pitch dark. You can't see that far in front of you. You have to actually use your phone light to actually get into the room, and then to get into the hallway, and then go down the hallway. And then once you actually get to your room, you need your phone light to actually like put your key number in to actually get into your room. It was crazy. It was pitch dark. But then I came into my room and I pretty much just went to bed afterwards. I was up for a little while. My iPad was my light, and it was pretty bright, and I was like playing solitaire for about an hour and a half until I finally went to sleep. And then the next day, we all pretty much got up as usual. I actually woke up expecting for the power to be back on because honestly, the wind was blowing harder than it was raining. You could hear the wind like it was howling like dogs. Like it was that's how hard the wind was blowing. It was crazy. And it wasn't really raining that hard, to be honest. Not for enough for it to like really make a difference. At least where I was, it wasn't. It was just the wind. I woke up expecting, you know, the power to be on, and it wasn't. And so what I did was I got up, I got dressed, and I had planned on going to the dollar store to get a car charger battery. Got dressed and I was walking to the store. I was getting the adapter because when the power is out, you can use an adapter to charge your phone. All you need is like the spring from a retractable pin, a 9-volt battery, and the car charging adapter. And if you look up on YouTube, you can figure out how to do it. But with those three things, as well as of course your phone and your charging cord, those can be used to charge your phone, and I mean it comes in handy when you have power outages. That's what I was going to the dollar store to get because I didn't have a car adapter, which I thought I did. That's why I was up leaving like the campus, and I got there and the dollar store was closed. For some reason, I don't know, I guess I just didn't think it looked that bad. It really didn't look that bad on my campus. We had like a few trees over and like a few like lamp posts and stuff, but like where I was, just like the whole area, it didn't seem bad. It looked pretty fine to me. So I'm expecting the power to be on, or if it's not on, you know, not much longer. So I walked to the store, and then they weren't open. So I walked to the other store and they weren't open, and it was humid, and I was wearing some like pants and stuff, so in my jacket, because I expected the wind to still be blowing. I just came back to my room and I pretty much just like hung out outside of my room because it was boring. There's really nothing I could do in here. It was kind of like warm, so basically I just hung out there and I just talked to everyone that was walking around the building. People were playing cards and just listening to music whose phone still was working. So like that's what we were all doing. We were all pretty much just hanging out. And then we got some information saying that we were going to have to leave campus because it was found out that we had also lost power and water. And when a lot of people found out that we had lost water, they started going home anyway. So we all had to like leave the campus. Like this campus and the other campuses that like my sister is on, everyone had to leave. We all had to like just basically evacuate the campus. And so we did. And this is where it kind of got like crazy in a sense, because like my aunts, like a lot of my family lives 45 minutes away from here. So that's where I was going. That's where me and my sister, we were going. and that's where we were gonna spend until, you know, we could come back to the campus. Well, when we got there, they didn't have any power either. I mean, I guess I wasn't really expecting there to be so much of a power outage, to be honest, because like I said, it didn't sound bad. I don't know what was going on from other people in this area, but like around us in this area, like nobody was expecting it to be as bad as it was. But when I got to, me and my sister, when we got to my grandmother's house, like she was out of power, my aunts, like everyone in my family was out of power except for my cousin, and like it was crazy. But she lived like on the farther side of town. I think she was out of power for about like what, 4 hours, and then her power was back on. Her power was back on before my sister and I even got to the town. So it was like she had power, nobody else did, but we weren't going to her house. So we got to my grandmother's house, and we saw like that area was worse. There were trees down, there were power lines down, and there were like not just whole trees were knocked over. Like some trees were like snapped in half, and like they were like laying on like power lines, and there's emergency cones like on certain streets, so you couldn't go down them. It was like, it was so bad. It was crazy. But like my grandmother's area, it wasn't as bad. Like there's a street going down to the side of her house. Like the worst area was, there was this huge tree. Like there was 2 huge trees. There was one huge tree like it fell over. You could tell some people came and they moved the tree out of the road, but it was still laying on the power line. There was also like a whole tree, like a huge big tree, like the type of trees you would expect someone to like put a tree house in big. It had fallen on like this house's like shed. It was just completely on the shed, and I was like, wow, like that was the worst that was even like visible on my grandmother's area. And then my aunt, who lives close, she had like some sticks and stuff and like little pieces of trees, and then like some trees in the backyard fell over. And then there was my uncle. He has this huge tree, like a grandmother willow tree, and that tree was literally like completely like uprooted, like the roots were like, you could see them just hanging out, and it just fell over in the alleyway. And it was like, wow, like there really was a lot more damage than I thought there was. When I got to my grandmother's house, you know, for the first like day and a half, or like the first day, I was getting news that like power companies from like other cities were gonna come and like help everyone out, because, you know, people, their power was out, and it was crazy. And, you know, we're expecting, you know, the power to be on pretty soon, and they were just like everywhere. The 2 areas that I'm talking about weren't the most affected. It was like everyone around us, and it was just so crazy. And I say this would have been Friday or something like that. They had started getting areas up, and it was like, it was kind of going better, but there were still a lot of people without power. And it was my aunt. She lives over a bridge further away. She's like maybe a 5-minute drive from where my grandmother is, and her power was on, and my grandfather's power was on because they live close. But my grandmother's power, my aunt's power was not on. And you could see them like on Saturday and Sunday, you could see them like riding around like the neighborhood, like the little area, and it was like they were just riding around taunting us, you know. I don't know, like I felt like we were being taunted at the fact that, you know, we didn't have any power yet. We could even see them like, they would be like 2 streets over, and they would be working on those power lines, and then they'd finish, and then they'd leave the area. And I'm just like, well, you know, we're all the same area. How come, you know, you're not fixing our power lines? And like it was crazy. It was chaotic. Eventually my campus, it opened back up, but, you know, we still couldn't come back because they were like, you know, of course they were cleaning up, and they were doing like a lot of stuff like that. Then that Wednesday, you know, I came back to my college campus, and, you know, so on. But even though I left, there were a lot of areas in that city, and even here where I am, that still didn't have power. And I think some people went like maybe 10 days without power. And wow, I didn't know how bad this hurricane really was. And it just makes me like think, when I was a kid, I never really went through anything like a hurricane like this. Even like now, like I can say for the fact that I haven't really gone through something really bad, even though this hurricane was really bad. Where I was, we got a lot of wind. I think only one car had a tree on it. I think everyone else's stuff was pretty much fine. It was just a lot of wind, but other areas, I guess we were lucky, but other areas weren't. So even though I can say I never went through something bad like this, other areas did. And it's just like, it's crazy because now there's like fires everywhere going on in California, and it's crazy because, you know, people's homes are being burnt down, people are losing family members, they're losing like pets, and you know, what's going on? Like, what is the earth coming to? Like, I know that's something people just say when they're joking around or something, but like literally, like, what is the earth coming to? Like what is happening? I don't know. I guess I felt like I guess I felt like maybe I could share this story time or something with you guys, because for me it wasn't really a bad hurricane, but the aftermath was really bad for me and for a lot of people. So I just wanted to share that, because even now that I know of, no one is really experienced anything left of Hurricane Michael in my area and in my grandmother's area, but the people in California are just like really like, it's crazy. Like, it's crazy, and I just wanted to share that because when those fires there in California are gone, there's literally going to be so much aftermath. There's going to be so much of just destruction everywhere. It's going to be terrible. And even though I didn't personally lose anything, I can see, like, even looking at it on Twitter, how bad it is and how sad it is that people are losing stuff like this. And I guess I just wanted to share that because I know sometimes a lot of people, they don't understand like what's the big deal. You may not live in a state or an area where you get like hurricanes or tornadoes or something like that. You see it and you're like, oh, that sucks, but you know, you keep going on. But like, when you really look at it, it's like, it's terrible. And I'm just rambling at this point, but I just wanted to say that because it's crazy. That's all I can say is it's crazy. But yeah, I'm pretty much rambling, and I just wanted to say that. I wanted to post another video for you guys this week, and I think that's all I really had to say about it. I don't know if anyone else had to experience Hurricane Michael or anything, or some other hurricane like Hurricane Florence or anything like that, any natural disaster, and you want to share about it, you can definitely put it in my comments. You can put as long as a comment as you want, just like talking about your experiences, and I'll be glad to read them, because having other people share their stories, that would be awesome. So I'll see you guys next week. Okay, peace out.